Today I'm going to react to the long-awaited Tetris movie trailer. So right before this to prep, I rewatched the Video Game Historian's great 1-hour video called The Story of Tetris as a refresher. The basic one-ish minute summary of what happened is Alexey Pajitnov, a guy in the Soviet Union, makes the game Tetris in his spare time on a work computer. The game kind of gets freely distributed around with ambitions of selling it, but those kind of die down. And it gets the attention of Robert Stein, a Hungarian businessman who wants to buy the rights to distribute it out of the Soviet Union. He ends up getting in contact with Alexey and starts working out a deal, but then Elorg, which is in charge of exporting and importing software within the Soviet Union, steps in and says, hey, this is something the government needs to handle. Alexey doesn't own this. He made it on government property and stuff. So they negotiate a deal with Stein for computer rights, which ends up being this whole big conflict because Stein then takes his deal and starts selling rights to various different platforms to companies, which ends up trickling down to selling more rights and ends up being this whole big tangled web, and eventually trickles down to getting the attention of Henk Rogers, who works with Nintendo. And Henk Rogers sees this as a great game that could be a gold mine for Nintendo, so he tries to buy console rights. But meanwhile, Robert Stein's in trouble because Elorg's ticked off at him. They haven't been receiving the payments they were due, and also they don't think Robert Stein had the right to sell all those rights to systems other than computers. They thought it just meant a computer PC, whereas Robert Stein took it as freedom to sell on anything electronic, basically. So everybody ends up in the Soviet Union negotiating it out. Now the issue is that the original contract didn't define what a computer was. So in order to get Robert Stein to give up all his rights he thought he had, Elorg tricks Robert into re-signing a new contract that supposedly the big change is stiffer penalties for late payments because they weren't getting paid, but they also included a clause that specifically defines a computer. So Robert Stein no longer has the console rights, which allows Henk Rogers to swoop in, give his best impression to Elorg that he's going to be a much better guy to deal with than Robert Stein, helps negotiate a generous offer between Nintendo and Elorg, and boom, they get the console rights. They get to have it on the Game Boy, they get to have it on the NES, and everything blows up from there. Henk Rogers also ends up befriending Alexey Pajitnov, and a decade later, when the rights expire, they end up forming the Tetris company together, and eventually are able to buy all the rights to Tetris. Now, as far as this film goes, I don't know too much about it, other than it seems that Henk Rogers is the protagonist, which would make sense. Toby Jones, he plays Robert Stein, which is interesting. Now, Toby's played a lot of different characters. Voice actor-wise, he's probably best known for voicing Dobby. For his on-screen appearances, the most prominent roles I've seen him in are in Marvel and Jurassic World, where he's kind of playing an evil henchman. It gives me the impression that maybe they're turning Robert Stein into kind of the villain of this story, but I won't know for sure until I actually take a look at the trailer. So let's finally take a look at the trailer.
It was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen.
Nice. That is what the original game looked like that Alexey Pajitnov made. That is really cool.
I played for 5 minutes. I still see falling blocks in my dreams. It's poetry, art and math all working in magical synchronicity. It's the perfect game. Tetris?
Very, very dramatic. But I guess that's how you gotta sell a game if you're trying to hype it up.
Tetris.
Tetris. Tetris.
Tetris. I don't get it.
It's a combination of tetra, Greek for four, and tennis. The Russian inventor.
Oh, that's Alexey Pajitnov. I guess it looks like him, kind of. The guy, Taron Egerton, he looks a bit different than Henk Rogers, I'll just say that much. That's what movies are.
This game isn't just addictive, it stays with you. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
Hank, only 10 other people in the world have seen what you're about to see. It's called the Game Boy.
Package it with Tetris. Can you get us the rights? The Soviet Union had worldwide rights. Nothing gets out easily. I'm gonna go to Moscow.
You're walking into a country that still considers America enemy numero uno.
What the heck?
Okie dokie.
I like the graphics.
This is the inventor of Tetris.
Your game is brilliant. I'm gonna make you a millionaire.
Mr. Rogers, have you ever negotiated with the Soviets?
We're here for Tetris.
I'm guessing this is the head of Elorg right here. I didn't actually see Nikolai Belikov listed in the cast on the Wikipedia page about this film, so I wasn't sure if he was going to have a major role, but it looks like he's in there.
What do you say? I don't speak Russian.
Yeah, so that is true. I did read that Henk Rogers had to hire an interpreter on the spot because he kind of marched in unannounced.
The most powerful man in Communist Party is watching you and your family.
Do you know where your husband is?
What the hell is going on?
The world is changing, and Soviet Union will not be left behind.
You want to play with the big boys? This is how the world works.
Heck, where is my money?
I don't remember reading anything about that. Hank Rogers' house getting destroyed, getting beat up by people in an alleyway. My goodness.
Sometimes you gotta forget the rules. This is criminal. The Soviet Union is about to implode. They're lying. Everybody's lying.
Go home! The cavalry is coming.
We don't have time.
I have a plan.
Oh, come on. You guys are the kings of cliffhangers.
Not too bad.
It was really cool watching the Video Game Historian's video right before this because I could recognize a whole lot of scenes in Video Game Historian's video basically come to life in this film, except, you know, of course, dramatized. Actually, I don't know if I saw Toby Jones in here at all. Is Robert Stein, like, not a big part of it? Maybe I missed him.
You want to play with the big boys?
I'm recognizing other people when I go back here. I think that's Kevin Maxwell, head of the Maxwell Corporation.
Mr. Hodges?
Okay, so that's Robert Stein right there. So I guess my initial guess that Robert Stein is the villain isn't really in play here. He doesn't seem to be a big part of the film. I'm just now reading the tagline here. The movie is inspired by the true story of how one man risked his life to outsmart the KGB and turn Tetris into a worldwide sensation. That is very dramatic. This film, again, plays up an angle I guess I wasn't quite expecting, but makes total sense from the perspective of like making a movie. Instead of focusing on the nitty-gritty of all the contract negotiations, which would just be a bunch of people talking in rooms and stuff, which they do have some of that in here, but they've also, what it seems like, really played up that Soviet Russia is dangerous and scary territory, and Alexey Pajitnov is having to do a high-speed car chase to get Hank Rogers out of some bad situation. Now, I don't know to what extent any of that aspect of it is true at all. I don't know how dangerous it was from Hank Rogers to get from the airport to Elorg's office and then back to the airport. Maybe that was an aspect, I don't know, but if you're gonna make a film with some action, that's, I guess, where you would put it. I would be interested in diving more into reading more primary sources about what actually happened, because it is a very fascinating story. But obviously, a film is not going to be, nor is it meant to be, a straight retelling of all the facts. It's a piece of entertainment, and I view this as a really cool thing, a really good thing. I definitely hope this brings more attention to the Tetris community when it comes out in a month and a half. It'll be fun to give it a full-on film review when it comes out. Oh my gosh, I never thought I'd do a movie review for this channel. But as cool as this trailer is and all, I'll tell you what I really want to see and what I think the Tetris company is having a big missed opportunity here with.
We're looking at an extinction level event.
Oh yeah.
It's inevitable.
How do I stop them?
Oh yeah, send in the jets! Now that's a movie audiences will be lining up to see. That wonderful trailer was created by Dark Pixel. It's a favorite of mine from back in the day. I'll leave a link to it in the end screen as well. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.